Katrina coverage continues here on the Weather Channel, Hurricane Central.
Hurricane Katrina continues to pound this part of Louisiana. I'm Jeff Morrow, and I'll be reporting live here just north of Lake Pontchartrain in Covington. Again, sheets of rain coming in, some tree damage. We'll show you exactly what it looks like in a live report coming up.
And Jeff, hurricane force wind gusts now raking southern parts of Alabama. The coast is getting ripped by high surf and surge, and we're getting lashed by heavy rain. The power is now out.
Well, good morning, and thanks for joining us here. You are watching our special storm alert coverage of Hurricane Katrina. I'm Heather Tesh.
And I'm Marshall Cease. Well, it is now the center of circulation as we take you to Gulfport, Mississippi. 94-mile-per-hour sustained winds here, 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And its center of circulation places it about 40 miles southeast of New Orleans, 65 miles southwest of Biloxi, Mississippi.
We are also very concerned about tornadoes at this point, and we do have some tornado warnings that are in effect around this region. Now, along the eye wall, too, you're going to have winds here that are similar to tornadoes. And
that's why tornado warnings have gone into effect, not just for specific tornadoes, which are a likelihood at times today, but also because the eye wall itself is winds will be 100 to 125 miles per hour at St. Tammany, Hancock, and Harrison counties, St. Tammany Parish, of course, Long Beach and Gulfport, Mississippi, Harrison County, and also St. Tammany.
Our team of meteorologists is fanned out across the Gulf Coast to cover the arrival of Katrina.
Jeff Morrow is in Covington, Louisiana. Storm tracker Jim Cantori in Gulfport, Mississippi, and Mike Seidel in Mobile, Alabama.
And Jeff, let's start with you. Are the winds picking up this hour?
Yeah, they are, Heather and Marshall. As a matter of fact, we're getting some pretty strong wind gusts here. Some of the strongest we've seen so far. That's already brought down some trees you can see here behind me. Some of these other smaller, they look like Bradford pear trees, will probably be toppled over. Also, we've got, if we can pan over here, we can see that we've got a lot of big pines here. We're going to have to watch out for some of those tree limbs snapping off. Again, behind me, you can see a little bit of the power of the wind kind of whipping everything sideways behind me. Let's show you, we were out a little bit earlier, we got some video. We'll show you what it looked like. Again, some of the bigger trees that have come down, and also pretty much how deserted the roadways are here. And that's really heartening to see that everybody is pretty much staying off the roads. Just the police, some emergency vehicles, occasionally you'll see those, but pretty much everything else is deserted. Everything else is buttoned down, and people have even evacuated out of this area. Of course, there are a lot of hotels right near where we are, because this is along Interstate 12. And a lot of people have actually evacuated out of the New Orleans area across Lake Pontchartrain, as we did, up to this area. So you got a lot of people hunkered down in their hotels. The power has been out all morning in this area. So hopefully they're doing okay. Oh, that's getting a little bit strong now as it's blowing me a little bit sideways here. Again, the eye of this hurricane appears to be passing by to our east. So that's why the winds are out of the north. They're blowing from north to south. Now that kind of a wind direction is going to blow against Lake Pontchartrain from the north. That will blow that water down toward New Orleans. And again, we're not done yet. Even though the eye is passing to the east of New Orleans, and that's actually a little bit of a better scenario, there's still going to be strong winds over Lake Pontchartrain, and there's still going to be some flooding. We just don't know how much it will be at this point. We'll keep you updated from here, Heather and Marshall, as long as we can keep broadcasting in these kinds of conditions. Back to you.
All right, and you know, we're just getting some interesting information here too coming in from New Orleans, where there are lampposts that are down, there's siding that is flying too through the air here, and the western eye wall is just east of New Orleans.
Right over Metairie, which is just to the east of New Orleans, and not too far from where Jim Cantori is stationed in Gulfport, Louisiana.
And let's get the latest coming up here from you in Gulfport, Mississippi, right, Jim?
Yeah, that's where we are. We're hunkered down, satellites down, etc. as a result of the wind. You guys know, I mean, you know, before our maximum gust was 62 miles an hour. You just came out with that 94 sustained at the Gulfport EOC, which is right around the corner from us. 100-mile-an-hour gust. We just had a 118-mile-an-hour gust at Pascagoula, which is off to my east. 118 miles an hour. We are under tornado warnings up and through here. And again, each one of these little pockets that rolls through with the core of the storm will produce and can produce tornadoes. You're not going to see them, but they can produce these excessive winds. They're going to bring down the winds. One of the biggest problems that we are having right now is with the surge. All right, water is coming up all over US 90 right now. Okay, it is all over US 90. So where I was staying the other day, guys, in the Quality Inn, which is south of US 90, it is water, and given the size of these waves that are coming in, I would not be surprised if the water was lapping up to the second floor of that hotel. So the room I was staying in is now completely underwater. Places like Treasure Bay, the Hooters, any of the buildings that are south of I-90 on the water side are being absolutely crushed right now with the surge that's coming in. And that water is going to get at least 10 to possibly 15 feet higher than it is right now. So we have the surge coming in as we speak. Winds, again, 90 to 100 miles an hour in gusts. 118 is the biggest one we have so far in Pascagoula off to my east. What does that mean? That's a Category 2 wind, so we're talking about extensive tree damage. We're talking about damage to some homes. Perhaps even entire roof structures may be undermined as a result of that kind of wind. So it's getting bad here, no question about it. And as long as we can talk to you, we will. We're safe. We're in a safe spot. Cruise inside, and we will take pictures if we can, and certainly feed them back to you when we can get our satellite dish on up. Right now, we're going to protect the crew and just kind of hunker down and give you these phone reports as long as we can. Thank you. Back to you.
All right, quickly, I want to make an observation here to put this in perspective for you. Jim Cantori said those winds at Category 2 on a Hurricane Saver-Simpson scale, but it also equates to an F2 tornado, which begins at about 113 miles per hour.
We also want to talk to Mike Seidel, and he is in Mobile, Alabama, also feeling the brunt of this system. Mike, we've been seeing the conditions going downhill in many locations. What's it like right now in Mobile?
Well, right now we're getting wind gusts up around 70 miles an hour. That's been our peak so far. And as you can see, the horizontal rain blowing across I-65. Hardly anybody is out this morning, which is the way it should be. Everybody should be inside and away from the windows. We've had some small debris blowing by. It's not as bad as where Jeff is and where Jim is, because our winds aren't as strong as they've seen so far. But we're going to have higher gusts. Well, we should get a gust over 100 miles an hour, because we've got another 4, 5, 6 hours as we get into the meat of the eastern side, which is the worst side of the storm. The wind has taken down power lines and trees, and our power here at the hotel has just gone out in the past 30 minutes. So far at the airport here in Mobile, just about 7 miles away, we've had 2 1/4 inches of rain. We're expecting 5 to 8 inches of rain here. And unlike what we saw in South Florida with a 15 to 20 inches of rain, we don't expect that here, because the storm is moving at twice the speed. Remember when Katrina made landfall in southeast Florida, Miami-Dade County and Broward County back last week, it was only moving at 5 or 6 miles an hour. Now it's more than doubled that speed. So we're in better shape from a rainfall perspective. But again, a lot of wind and rain, and the tornado threat continues right on through this afternoon. Heather and Marshall, back to you from Mobile.
All right, I want to put this again to tell you where the center of circulation is. The western eye wall just here at just about Chalmette. I would put it right over Chalmette, south of New Orleans.
And we want to mention, too, that, you know, with all the damage that's going on, there's going to be a lot of problems like this happening in Covington. Right now, there is a home on fire. It's an electrical fire, but crews cannot respond to this fire because the winds are too strong. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of situations like this where things are just going to get out of control.
Now, this is now a 30-mile wide eye, 923 millibars. Winds are still 135 miles per hour around the center of circulation of Hurricane Katrina, moving north at 15 miles per hour.
New Orleans really feeling the brunt of the system now. Very dangerous, as we have items that are flying through the air across the region. And here's some new video right now from Gulfport. You can see the flooding of Highway 90.
Hurricane Katrina makes landfall. Stay with us for the latest in-depth analysis, live reports from the field, weather experts, meteorologists, and hurricane hunters telling you what's happening, why it's happening, and what's next. The Weather Channel, Hurricane Central. The Weather Channel, Hurricane Central. Coming up, the latest on Katrina. But now, you're local on the 8s.